Breaking news, my friends, things are heating up in the world of the Eagles. Before we get started, hit that like button and drop a special comment. Go Eagles, let's fly high. Now, without further delay, let's get right into it. Week 2 of the season is shaping up to be one of the most anticipated matchups of the year. Philadelphia Eagles heading into Arrowhead Stadium to face the Kansas City Chiefs in a Super Bowl 59 rematch. That game in New Orleans earlier this year wasn't just another win, it was a statement. The Eagles walked into the Superdome and dismantled Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid's team with a combination of defensive dominance and offensive precision. The final score read 40-22, but anyone who watched knows the game was over long before the fourth quarter. At one point, Philadelphia held a jaw-dropping 34-0 lead, later extending it to 40-6 before the Chiefs tacked on some garbage time points. That victory was powered by a swarming defense that pressured Mahomes 16 times, hit him 11 times, and sacked him 6 times, all without a single blitz being called by Vic Fangio's unit. Jalen Hurts delivered arguably the best performance of his career under the brightest lights. With Steve Spagnuolo stacking the box to stop Saquon Barkley, Hurts was forced to beat Kansas City through the air, and he responded with an MVP performance. He went 17 of 22 for 221 yards, threw 2 touchdowns, added 72 rushing yards on 11 carries, and punched in another score on the ground. His composure, accuracy, and decision-making stood out, and the now famous DeVonta dagger symbolized just how in control he was of that game. Compare that to Mahomes, who was rattled, confused, and turned the ball over 3 times. When you stack the 2 Super Bowls these quarterbacks have faced off in, Hurts has statistically outplayed Mahomes across the board, with a higher completion percentage, more passing yards, more rushing yards, and 1 extra total touchdown. That's not just good company, that's elite company. But here's the twist. Going into this Week 2 matchup, one of the biggest storylines centers around Jalen Carter. He was the absolute engine of that dominant Super Bowl defensive front, finishing last year as one of the most disruptive players in the entire league. First among defensive tackles and snaps, top 3 in pressure and run-stop rates, tied for 3rd in sacks, and 2nd in both quarterback hits and hurries. Those numbers underline just how irreplaceable he is. But right now, the NFL is still weighing whether Carter will be suspended after his altercation with Dak Prescott in Week 1, when he was ejected for spitting. If Carter misses this game, it would be a massive advantage for Kansas City, especially given how the Cowboys ran right through the middle of Philadelphia's defense without him, averaging 5.4 yards per carry in Week 1. Dak even admitted after the game that Carter's ejection completely flipped Dallas' game plan. Meanwhile, the Eagles' Week 1 win over the Cowboys highlighted both promise and areas for concern. Hurts was once again the MVP of that game, not only with his deep strike to Jahan Dotson but also his ability to extend plays and pick up crucial yards on the ground. The offense, led by new coordinator Kevin Patullo, showed flashes of explosiveness, but it also sputtered after a weather delay. And the secondary? Let's be honest, it struggled early before settling down and pitching a second-half shutout. Still, the talent is undeniable, and it feels like this team has only scratched the surface of its potential. On the other side, Kansas City enters this matchup facing their own set of challenges. Patrick Mahomes, for all his brilliance, doesn't have the same arsenal of weapons he once had. Their top 2 wideouts, Xavier Worthy, dealing with a separated shoulder, and Rashee Rice, serving a 6-game suspension after his involvement in a car accident, are both out. Travis Kelce is still a dangerous player, but it's clear he isn't the unstoppable force he used to be. Without Worthy's speed and Rice's playmaking, the Chiefs looked talent deficient in Week 1 against the Chargers, where Mahomes had to rely heavily on his legs just to keep drives alive. Yes, Andy Reid always pulls out creative wrinkles with extra prep time, but it's fair to say this version of Kansas City feels more vulnerable than we've seen in years. Philadelphia has the chance to make a statement again. Drop the Chiefs to 0-2 under Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes? That would send shockwaves across the NFL. But it won't come easy. Arrowhead is one of the most hostile environments in football, and Mahomes thrives when his back is against the wall. The Eagles must execute on several fronts, maintain pass rush discipline to contain Mahomes scrambling, tighten up their run defense, and, most importantly, get the passing game firing on all cylinders. A.J. Brown was held to just 1 catch for 8 yards against Dallas. DeVonta Smith barely made an impact. That simply cannot happen if Philadelphia wants to control this game. So here's where I want to turn it over to you, the fans. The Eagles have the better roster, more depth, and the momentum of that Super Bowl blowout. But Kansas City is desperate, and desperation makes dangerous teams. Do you think Philadelphia can once again impose its will and come out on top in this Super Bowl rematch? Or is Arrowhead going to be the equalizer that tilts things back toward Mahomes and Reid? And this is where things get really fascinating, because when you study the blueprint from Super Bowl 59, it's clear what Philadelphia has to replicate, but also what they must improve upon from Week 1 against Dallas. The pass rush was the defining factor in February, and it has to be the defining factor again. 6 sacks, 16 pressures, 0 blitzes. That's not just dominance, that's surgical execution from Vic Fangio's defense. But without Jalen Carter, that formula gets a whole lot tougher to reproduce. That's why his status for Sunday is such a massive storyline. If he plays, Philadelphia has the ability to collapse the pocket from the inside, forcing Mahomes into bad throws and rush decisions. If he doesn't, Kansas City's run game with Isaiah Pacheco suddenly becomes a real concern. Against Dallas, the Eagles surrendered over 5 yards per carry without Carter anchoring the middle. If Pacheco and even Mahomes are able to churn out first downs with their legs, Kansas City can control the tempo and keep Hurts and the offense on the sideline. That's the nightmare scenario. Now, let's flip it to the offensive side for the Eagles. Kevin Patullo is still settling in as offensive coordinator, and you could see the growing pains against the Cowboys. The rhythm was inconsistent, the play calling conservative at times, and outside of Hurts making magic, there wasn't much spark in the passing game. That has to change against Kansas City. A.J. Brown is one of the most dangerous receivers in the NFL, and he can't finish a game with 1 catch for 8 yards. DeVonta Smith, who should be a matchup nightmare with his speed and route running, has to get more opportunities. Even Jahan Dotson, who made a highlight reel 51-yard grab, wasn't used consistently enough. If the Eagles want to beat Kansas City at Arrowhead, they need to stretch the field, win one-on-one matchups, and force Spagnuolo's defense into uncomfortable situations. The run game, too, deserves a closer look. Saquon Barkley had a quiet day on the ground against Dallas when the Eagles lined up in heavy formations like 12 and 13 personnel. Out of those looks, he had 14 carries for just 30 yards, barely 2 yards a pop. But when they shifted into 11 personnel, spreading the field and creating space, Barkley had 4 carries for 30 yards, averaging nearly 8 yards a touch. That tells you everything. The Eagles' offensive line is at its best when they aren't cluttered with extra tight ends, and Barkley is at his most dangerous when he has lanes to attack. Adjustments like that could be the difference between a stalled drive and a touchdown in a game this tight. And let's not forget the hidden battle, special teams. The Eagles quietly made a move that could pay off in this exact matchup by trading for Tank Bigsby. With Will Shipley sidelined, Bigsby isn't just adding depth as a hard-nosed runner, he's likely stepping in as the primary kick returner. That kind of field position swing is often overlooked, but in a game where margins are razor thin, a single explosive return can flip momentum. The Chiefs, meanwhile, are scrambling. Without Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, their receiving core is depleted. Travis Kelce, though still capable, doesn't have the same burst or tackle-breaking ability he once did. And Mahomes, while superhuman at times, is being asked to carry more than ever. Against the Chargers in Brazil, he was forced to run 6 times for 57 yards just to keep the offense alive. That's not sustainable, and it's not what